So let's say I'm a lead that opts into one of your clients' funnels. What happens?
The key things are a lead comes in within 5 minutes, you've got the
Do you mention the offer, or you're just saying like a more general statement of why you're calling?
every script is different.
People use the word power dialer to mean a lot of things, so I just want to clarify that.
The power dialer is in the GoHighlevel system. All it does,
There's a lot of truth to like the best leads don't require an insane amount of chasing. I want to get your take on it.
then don't even run.
Can you give me your top 3 things, like a quick win that people could get off this podcast and go apply immediately? Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into this episode. I got the chance to sit down with Arin from Teamfollowup, and this guy, he's a whiz. He knows everything there is to know about follow-up. I thought I knew a lot about follow-up, but this guy really knows a lot, especially the no-show checklist that we go over towards the end of the episode. Really, really good. Anyway, after watching this episode, if you want to sign up for Teamfollowup, use my link below. It's going to be like a custom landing page with this episode actually hosted on there. And if you use that page, it helps support the show, produce more videos like this, bring you guys more value. Very much appreciated if you use that link. But before we get started, our sponsor GoHighlevel has very kindly sponsored this episode. So let's talk about them for a minute. If you don't know already, GoHighlevel is the top sales and marketing solution for any business, but particularly agency owners or anybody that needs a software product to resell to their existing customer base. It has everything you need to capture, nurture, and close leads for marketing clients. And the best part is GoHighlevel believes in not taxing the agencies on its platform, so you can get unlimited clients for one low flat monthly fee. The best features include a CRM, funnel, website and email builders, course hosting platform, robust marketing automation builder, a consolidated chat stream with WhatsApp, email, SMS, Instagram DMs, and Facebook DMs, reputation management, social media posting, tracking and analytics, and so much more. And as if that wasn't enough, GoHighlevel is fully white labeled, meaning that you can take the platform and put your own brand on the desktop and mobile app and resell it to your industry for whatever price you want. Essentially, what GoHighlevel has done is brought the bar for starting a software company way lower, so normal people like you and I can help our clients with an amazingly robust software without paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in development costs. I am not kidding when I say hands down, GoHighlevel is my favorite software of all time. It has been integral to my success with my agency. It helped me increase my clients' results and retention, and I use it every single day for my own business. And if you sign up for GoHighlevel today, not only will you get a 30-day free trial, which is not available on their website, but you'll get all of the bonuses listed at itskeaton.com/mastermind, which gets you support, templates, and courses to kickstart your GoHighlevel journey and get those first few clients or scale to your next few clients. If you're already a GoHighlevel customer, you can also get all of those bonuses by upgrading to the next highest plan underneath my link. Instructions for that are also at itskeaton.com/mastermind. All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I'm super excited today because we're interviewing Arin Darcan. He's in Essex, UK. Awesome guy. We were able to connect at the GHL Summit, and I saw some of the agencies and other companies that they were supporting with their white label calling solution. And I knew that we had to do an episode here because there's going to be a lot of gems dropped as far as follow-up processes, but also if you're looking for someone to take over your calling on behalf of your clients, or the calling that may or may not be happening right now on behalf of your clients, this is the guy that you need to talk to. So Arin, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Keaton. I'm excited to. This is one of the biggest things that so many agency owners don't appreciate. Everyone's focused on cost per lead. Everyone's focused on how to optimize the ads, as everyone talks about, but no one ever actually talks about how to stop the leaky bucket, which is leads coming in and then what happens with them. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us, I know we talked a little bit before you got on. We have very similar origin stories. Started an agency, realized that the clients weren't following up the leads, and so decided to start call centers. But you kind of decided to branch out just into specializing in this. Tell us about that process and how that worked.
Yeah, for sure, man. So like I said, I used to run an agency, and we were the kind of agency that worked with anyone really, but we used to generate leads via ads for our clients. And the biggest problem we had was that we would generate leads, and then the clients would swear, they'd fight, kick and scream, and they would promise that they definitely called the leads. You guys go GoHighlevel, you open up one contact. And I used to just lie on the call with them, right? So I just go, oh, okay, you follow the leads? Awesome, let's have a look. And then it would be like, oh, 10:30 a.m., this lead came in. The time now is 2:30, no one's phoned them yet. Oh, well, that one I'm doing, and that one I'm busy, and that one my receptionist tried, but all this rubbish, So I ended up building the call center, like you said, to solve that. And then I had a few of my friends that were like, oh, I've seen that you've got a call center, you're smashing it now. Can you teach me how to run my own call center? I didn't want to do the whole coaching thing. I really wanted to move away from that. But I was open to them like borrowing my call center just so they had a few projects they were really struggling with. So like, look, like we can kind of just like, I can get my callers to log into your GoHighlevel. They can do the calling for you. And then very quickly, hopefully you can see better results. And then that happened and we got good results. And I was like, oh, okay. And then a few more came through and then a few referrals. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is because a lot of agency owners just haven't got the time or the resources to try and build an in-house call center. It's just too messy. So yeah, that's kind of how we got to it. And here we are now with, 35, 40 clients and yeah, smashing it. It's great.
Love it. Yeah, we talked earlier, 35 clients in 12 different verticals. So you guys, it's safe to say, have perfected a process that scales, which I am very impressed with because I seriously know what it takes on a day-to-day basis to manage a team like this and make sure that everything's working correctly.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's one of the things where it doesn't happen overnight, right? Like I've been working on Teamfollowup for it's been just over 2 years now. And genuinely, I've barely, obviously I know we met at the GoHighlevel Summit where we were an exhibitor, but I haven't really done much in terms of ads or marketing. I haven't done much because it's just been like, you bring on a client, you find all the problems and all the issues, and then you figure out, okay, that's how we fix it. And then you bring on another client, you find all the problems in it. So it's just been reiterating this kind of feedback loop and trying to make the product so good. And the issue is there's just so many agencies that have so many different processes and so many different types of niches and clients, and it kind of gets really difficult. So yeah, literally just it's been a lot of hard work, but we're finally at a point now where it's like really ready to scale, and I'm happy. I'm excited for it.
Love that. So what I want to do is talk about your process that you guys go through and some gems from that in general. If somebody's going to try to do this themselves or they're trying to coach their clients on it, helpful things that would help them there. And then we'll go over how you guys actually implement and install this into an agency, because I think the logistics there are really overwhelming for a lot of people. But first, the process itself. So let's say I'm a lead that opts into one of your clients' funnels. What happens?
For sure. So, and this is the thing as well, like a lot of people watching this probably already know what I'm about to say. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's like everyone knows, it's like losing weight. Everyone knows, okay, move more, eat less. But actually doing that is a lot harder, right? So the key things are a lead comes in, within 5 minutes, you've got to be phoning them up, at least double dialing. So by double dialing, what I mean is you phone someone up. If it doesn't answer, you phone them again straight away. The reason why you do that is there's two reasons. The first reason is that most cold callers, most scam callers, they don't actually double dial. Their power dialers only ring once. So if someone sees that you phone them twice, even if they don't recognize the number, they're like, oh, wow, this must be an emergency. Like it could be a hospital. It could be, they don't know what it is. They're like, oh, I better answer the phone. The second thing is that on iPhones, you have the do not disturb feature. The do not disturb feature is set as default to only block the first call. If it's two calls back to back within like 30 seconds, the iPhone will, again, assume it's an emergency and it will let the call through. So that's the first thing. Within 5 minutes, double dialing that lead. You also want to be sending out an SMS to that lead as well, in my opinion, which is going to be something like, hey, thanks so much for your interest in ABC, whatever it is. One of our team are going to call you ASAP. Please make sure to answer the call that comes through. That way then they get a text immediately as soon as they become a lead, and it kind of pre-warns them that a phone call is going to come through, and they also can connect the number. They're like, oh, this is for when they see the number come through, they know who it is, right?
Yeah,
that really helps. Yeah, exactly. That really helps to pick up rates. As long as you actually have a team member that is going to phone them within 5 minutes. If they're not going to phone them in 5 minutes, then it kind of ruins that effect, right? So then if you try to phone them and they don't answer the phone, you then want to phone them twice a day, every day for 7 days in a row. We find that 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. are the best times. Full transparency, I haven't got like the exact data on that. It's just from what I've seen with my clients that have them kind of times, they always seem to get the better results. And then you also want to make sure you're replying to SMSs on time. You want to make sure that your SMS nurture, it needs to be really engaging. A lot of agencies nurture is just like, hey, you didn't book a time yet. Fancy booking a time here? Link. It's like, well, you need to be asking questions like, and I don't want to tell me if I'm going too deep with this now, Keaton, but the other thing is the nurture can work really well, the SMS nurture, is if you actually make it look like a real person's messaging, right? So a lot of agency owners, what they'll do is they'll have all these SMSs that are going out that are really pointless. They have no value to the lead whatsoever. And they also try to make it look like they're all like it's a real person texting. but the leads will get the messages will get sent out at 2 a.m. They'll get sent out at 9 a.m. They get sent out all different times, and it's just like so obviously not a real person. So what I find works really well with the SMS nurture to get responses is that when you have a message that's very clearly automated, like that first one that comes in, try putting things like auto confirm in the beginning of it. So they see that and they think, oh, it's definitely an automated message. It literally says it there. Then when you want to try and make it look like it's a real person, do things like sending multiple messages at once. For example, if me and you are messaging, Keaton, I wouldn't send you one long message. I would say, hey, Keaton, how's it going? Send. Send. Right? That's how I type anyway. Maybe not everyone does that, but that usually gives up the human effect. And also, when you do remove that auto confirm from the message, the lead now thinks, oh, hold on. The first message said auto confirm. Now, 6 hours later, within the actual workday, maybe at 9:12 a.m. or whatever it is, I'm getting a message that's multiple messages, doesn't say auto confirm, could actually be the real. It could be the gym owner, it could be the chiropractor, whoever it is. There's just a few tips. Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Auto confirm, you mean like apply stop to unsubscribe or?
I mean literally in the message, in the GHL automation, rather than starting the message with hey contact first name, you'd put auto confirm in brackets and then put hey contact first name, and that way then it looks like it is an automatic message. You're trying to make it look like an automatic message on purpose. So then you can use the non-auto confirm later on to make it look like it's a real human.
Clever, I like that.
Yeah, I've got loads of little tips like that. We can email later on.
So you call 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. local time.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are all double dials as well.
Great question. We don't double dial in the power dialer. I'm actually experimenting with that at the moment to see how it works. But the reason why we don't like to double dial in the power dialer, because when someone first opts in, we know they're awake. We know they're by their phone, right? Within 5 minutes, you're phoning them. You're not really disturbing them. It's fine. If someone's working night shifts, for example, and then you phone them at 10 a.m. and you double dial their phone, you end up waking them up, disturbing them when they're trying to do something, like whatever. It can kill the lead because they're just like, why are you phoning me out? Blah, blah, blah. So we'll have to single dial when it's beyond that original phone call. But I am testing that out. I'll see what the results look like soon.
So when you say power dialer is the 7-day follow-up, does that mean that you're getting hey, you need to call this lead like manual action, or they're actually getting a call, they press 1 to connect and then it connects with them? Or people use the word power dialer to mean a lot of things. So I just want to clarify that.
No, for sure. So I have 2 separate teams. I have a 24/7 team and I have a 7-day follow-up team. The 24/7 team are the one that when a new lead comes in, they're going to phone them up within 5 minutes. Then you have the 7-day follow-up team, which is one that use the power dialer. So the 24/7 team don't use the power dialer. They don't touch it at all. They just use the Eliza agent platform. If you're familiar with that in GoHighlevel. And so all of these come into the Eliza agent platform. They can then phone them. Everyone's happy. The 7-day follow-up team is where they literally go into manual actions, conversations, and ring the power dialer.
And the word power dialer, in my mind, power dialer means it's doing more than just calling one person at a time. It's calling multiple people at a time.
That's an auto dialer. But I believe auto dialers are actually against the law in the US. There's definitely some rules around you're not allowed to have like a bot phoning multiple people at once. But the power dialer is in the GoHighlevel system is literally just you press call, and all it does is it just saves you from having to call a lead back out into contacts, call another lead back out into contacts. It just does it. It just auto goes through them all one by one.
Very cool. All right. I learned something new today. So I know I'm not the only one that's confused by that terms. Okay. So how do you keep all of this organized? You explained the 2 teams, but like calling every day at these similar times, like 10/6, how do you make sure that every single lead, each sub account gets called during those? And then tell me about the conversation that actually happens if somebody picks up.
Yeah, love it. This took me a little while to build out. I've essentially got, it's not a very sexy answer. All it does is we are able to put inside Airtable every single one of my agents and every single one of their availability for that week. We have some agents that are full-time, but a lot of our agents are on an hourly basis. It's more like part-time work for them, which works really well, gives them a lot of flexibility. And so they put in their hours every week of what hours they want. And then we have all of our projects, and each project is assigned a certain time. For example, 10 a.m. What you've got to remember as well is that's 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. local time. Some clients don't want that. Some clients want 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. It really depends on the preference. 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. local time means that that's a very different time in the East Coast compared to the West Coast, right? So we always get a nice big range there anyway. And essentially in Airtable, we click go. And then all it does is it identifies which agent has a free slot and which client needs calling. And then it will plug them in together. And then my client success manager will go into that sheet and she'll kind of scroll through it. And if there's any, for example, clients that always have the same, sometimes some clients want the same people, they get familiar, that kind of thing, then she'll like reassign some accounts. Yeah, it's not the sexiest answer, but it's just a lot of like automations that kind of build that out. Yeah.
So they're not necessarily assigned to individual clients or individual verticals. So tell me about that training process, and then also, again, the call itself. What's the first step on the call, and How do you guys finagle getting them on the call with the actual business owner who could schedule them, or scheduling them if that's something you guys do? How does that all work?
Yeah, for sure. This is a thing that a lot of people I speak to, they kind of misunderstand this. They think that they're paying me for a setter to work on their account. You're not paying me for like one setter, because sometimes I'll be like, what if I want 2 setters? I'm like, you've got 60 setters. You've got like, if you scale up your campaign, like you don't have to worry about that. We have literally 60, 70 appointment setters working with us right now. It's a case of, we do the service on your account. You're not paying for a setter, right? And the way we're able to get around that and not have to like get someone super trained up on dentistry, right? And they have to know all the dental terms and how implants work. They don't have to worry about that, because the way we frame our calls is that we always say we're from the scheduling team. So for example, if I was phoning you up right now, I'd say, hey, Keaton, my name's Arin. I'm calling from the scheduling team at ABC Chiro. And then we've got a few qualifiers, right? Whatever qualifiers you want. We don't go too deep. We don't ask them like, why do you need help with this? Or we try to avoid the open-ended questions, because obviously my team aren't there to sell them. They're literally just to qualify it and book the appointment. And then what happens if we get asked any weird questions like, oh, I've only got 3 teeth. Can I still get implants, or anything like that? Obviously FAQs we can, and if you want me to screen share, I'm happy to show a script and like kind of show you how it works. We've got like FAQs on which the team could quickly look over and see any frequently asked questions. But in general, when we say we're from the scheduling team, if we get asked any questions we don't understand, we can very easily just divert it and say, hey, look, I'm just from the scheduling team, but let me put you in touch with Dr. whoever, and he can be the one that explains it all to you. And most people, because you pre-framed it as we're from the scheduling team, they're super fine with it. They're like, okay, put me in, I'll ask him when I see him. And that works really well.
Nice.
Keeping the script simple. Obviously, we have key training on how to be an appointment setter, right? Like just generic stuff, like obviously smile when you're speaking, like how to pronounce certain things, and obviously general sales skills, like basic sales skills are there. But again, when we're not trying to sell them, it doesn't go too crazy. As long as we sound nice, we've got good accents, and we're friendly and build a bit of rapport. That's most of it, to be honest with you. So, and with the scripts we use flow sheet scripts. So we don't have like a block of 5-page Google Doc where the term to like go through it on the call. That's messy. So we literally have a flow sheet where it's like, the first thing you say, and then it's got branches. Yes, no, maybe, comes off this. Yes, if they say this, then they qualify for this. And as the team can just very easily just like go through it, and it's just really simple. That's how we're able to move between different verticals so easily without screwing things up.
Let's say you call me and you say, hey, I'm from ABC Chiro, just calling about, do you mention the offer, or you're just saying just calling about the thing that you requested, like a more general statement of why you're calling? And then what happens after that? Like actually walk me through maybe the 5 phases of the scripts, or however many phases.
Yeah, cool. Every script is different. We don't use like one generic. It's not like we've got a dentist script and then we use that script for everyone. We have during the onboarding process, we have this very in-depth script building process and the whole technical onboarding. Like we've got a lot that goes into the onboarding. We consult you on the script. So a lot of clients will come back, hey, I want to ask these 15 questions. I want to get this. I want to get deposits. I want to get their name. I want to get their social. And it's like, we know that getting all of that stuff from someone, even the receptionists themselves would struggle to get that stuff, even if they literally worked out a dentist. So we consult them on that. And so there's some things that obviously you know your agency better than me. So if there's something that you really feel like you have to get, then cool, we can throw it in there. It's definitely a trial and error process. So it's like we'll run with a script, and if we see we're getting a huge amount of just a lot of issues at a certain point of the script, then we'll obviously listen to the call, we'll hear why we think we're getting some issues there, and then we'll rephrase it or rewrite it. Sometimes we do say the offer. Sometimes we'll say, yeah, we saw you signed up for our 197 liposuction package. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And we say that because we want to get that instant connection of, oh, like you are the guys that if we just phone them up and we don't say why we're phoning or who we're phoning from, even if we say the name of the dentistry or whatever the client is, they still won't often know who we are, because they don't know. Like, they just see Chiro adjustment $50. That's all they see. So if we say, oh yeah, you sign up for our Chiro adjustment $50, they'll be like, oh yeah, then it reminds them. So we often do it to remind them that we aren't just some random cold caller. But in terms of like going deep into like any offers or anything like that, or even payments, like, or prices, then we try to avoid that, because then it starts to move into like a lot of sales resistance.
Okay. All right. You said earlier you kind of have a general script that, like this flow chart that everybody follows, but you also come up with a custom script for each client.
So that flow chart is custom for each. So when I say script, that is the flow chart. It's literally got like at the top of it, it will say the name of the client, and then it will have the opening line, and then it will say, so when I say flow sheet script, that is the script they follow. They haven't got an actual script. Yeah.
So I'm caller A, let's say, and I work on your team. This week I'm assigned to a brand new account that I don't know anything about. Am I like required to go through and read that flow chart first, or how do you make sure that that's quality assurance.
Yeah, even if you've worked on the account a million times, you're still required to read through the script and just make sure. We even have like an extra document which is like info about the actual service, right? So what we don't want to be doing is saying anything that just sounds stupid. Like, so for example, if you've never done HVAC before and you're throwing HVAC leads, you don't want to say anything that's like so obviously wrong. But even like everyone should know this. Like, how do you not know this? We've got to make sure we avoid things like that. So we do have like a pre-information, but yeah, a lot of it is like, it's just making sure that script is simple on that. Most people don't ask that, like, then too many weird questions. So as long as they follow the script and they've got the FAQs, most of the time, even if they're like, even if the set is brand new, providing they've been throughout onboarding, they'll be fine.
So then let's say we've got the 197 liposuction thing. Oh yeah, I remember that. What's the next thing the setter's going to say typically?
Yeah, cool. So it'll be something like, oh, okay, yeah, awesome. So, and they'll just go into the qualifiers, right? So it could be, okay, great. So are you at least, I don't know, for liposuction, I've never done that kind of campaign, but let's assume it's like, I know you've got to be at least 100 pounds overweight, right? But yeah, if you did something like, okay, let's say you're a gym owner. Okay, great. Super excited to speak with you. I hope you don't mind me asking, what's the reason why you filled out the information originally? Is it for mental health? Is it for fitness? Is it to lose some weight? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? You know, we'll get something out of them. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And then we might ask maybe another follow-up question just if the moment feels right. But again, like a lot of clients don't even have qualifiers. A lot of the clients, it's just about booking the appointment. So if it might be a case, for example, with implants, you want to ask them, okay, great. So for this to be most effective, you either can pay upfront or as a payment plan. Like, what do you want me asking what your credit score is? Oh, my credit score is 600. Oh, okay. And then we'll like just go through the script in there. So it's a bit hard for me to say because every single client has different qualifiers and stuff, but it just goes through that. Yeah.
But moving into a little bit of emotion, like why
100%
important to, and then also I love what you said about the price, because that was huge for us. We would say, hey, just so you know, our lowest down payment starts at $500. The lowest monthly payment is $200. Is that something that's in your budget? Because you can get a lead to opt in, you can get a lead to schedule, you can get a lead to show up. But if they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, orthodontics treatments is, $5,000, I had no idea, and they just run away, and that happens enough time, your client's going to fire you. And so we found we'd rather bring it up, and the person who's like, oh, wow, that's just not in the budget right now, we just say, no problem. Like, we're here when you're ready. We'd love to work with you when it's the right time, but if that's not in the budget, I totally understand.
Yeah, we usually get a lot of people at that point. They're like, well, it depends on what it includes, right? We always get that one. I think the important thing to do is we want to be able to qualify, but also it might not always be the right way just to qualify that harshly. So for example, we work with an agency, one of my first clients, and they were generating, this isn't for their clients, this is for themselves, right? So they were generating, they helped HVAC installers get more leads. So she was running a marketing agency to help HVAC installers. And on the call, I saw we were getting loads of pickups and loads of conversations, but we were getting barely any appointments. And I listened to some of the calls, and I noticed that in the qualifiers that she had for a script, it was, our marketing plans start at $3,000 a month. Is that within your budget? And all my team were asking it perfectly every time. And every single time the person was like, well, it depends what's included. Like, it was just really, it's big obstacle that we're coming up against. Although that's like in an ideal world, we can ask that question and yeah, it gives us the answer. I also want to challenge clients and ask them, is there a way we can get the same answer without asking such a harsh question? So for example, rather than saying, hey, look, the minimum spend is 500, we might ask them something like, oh, okay, what do you do for a living? If they say any of these things, then, because we also want to avoid, we're not trying to sell them. And the pricing question really is where you need a sales guy to like be able to actually talk to them. So what we did for this lady that I was just talking about is we changed it from, would you be willing to pay 3K for marketing, was how many jobs did you do last month? If they say more than 5, okay, we know they've got at least 3K. If they say less than 5, then we just qualify them. And that way then we just got, the booking rates went insane after that. Is that the question?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think for us, because we're in-house, we could learn, like we were really interfacing directly with the client. That worked, but I like the kind of tricky ways of qualifying there that you mentioned, because it's genius.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, if you've got an in-house team, like if you're building an in-house team and you are doing daily huddles with your team, like just about one particular niche, right? You can get that. There's not, the reason why we struggle in terms of doing that, like, and really try to be able to sell the lead on the phone is because we have, like you said, a bunch of different verticals, a bunch of different clients. Like my team just can't become an expert at every single vertical. But if you're only working with chiropractors, in my opinion, your team should be so hot on the sales that they should be setting the lead pretty much there and then. That's what I would be doing if I was running an agency again. Yeah.
You qualify, ask maybe 1 to 3 qualification questions.
Yep.
Or none, depending on what the client wants.
Yep.
And then you say, great, like what's the transition to the schedule? And then how does the scheduling process go? How does it work with integrating with their schedule as well?
So the next thing is, okay, great. This sounds like it's going to be a good fit. Are you free? What times are best for you tomorrow? I've got 10 a.m. or 6, whatever, 2 times. And they'll say, oh yeah, I'm free at this time. I'm free that time. We use the calendar URL. This is actually a big thing that saved me a lot of time. So rather than trying to schedule the lead in the actual GoHighlevel account, we find that GoHighlevel, it's got so many options in the calendar. It just gets like the agents just made mistakes constantly. So what we do is we get the public URL for the calendar, and then we'll have that in the SOP for my agents. They then click on the public URL, which just opens them up. 2 key things about this is that you want to make sure that your calendar, you want to disable calendar time zone. In GoHighlevel, there's a setting called disable calendar time zone. If you don't do that, then it will give the agent an option to pick the time zone. And if you're working with a local chiro or a local gym, you don't want them to be able to pick the time. It's just going to go, especially if it kind of kills the conversation as well, especially if you're saying something like, oh yeah, like if it's a local gym, oh, what time zone are you in? Like the lead's going to be like, what do you mean? Like, because they're not going to understand, right? Yeah. So that's that. Disable the contact time zone. The other thing is you've got to turn sticky contact off inside the calendar. If you have sticky contact on, if you use the public URL method that I'm telling you about, then when they go to another page and fill out another thing, the leads details from the past calendar are going to be pushed. It's going to cause, like, we had a whole mess with this with the client before. Though, like, we thought we were basically booking leads from a completely different place. So it was really messy. It was horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, it was horrible. There's that. And then the other thing as well, just a quick side note I just thought of, is that when you actually book the appointment in, it's really powerful if you ask them, do you know where we're located? And if they say, oh yeah, I know you're here, whatever else, what we get from our clients is like a location blurb. And so it'll be something like, yeah, so we are opposite the McDonald's next to the Macy's, right outside of blah, blah, right? And then the agent can just read that off. And they're like, oh, and then we had one lady I heard of recently. She was like, well, yeah. She was so, like, the connection just felt so real as soon as the setter said that. So that's a quite good thing to do as well. That's that. And then, so we book the appointment in, we say, thank you, whatever, and then run our way.
Nice. So what about verticals where they don't really use the high-level calendar, or it doesn't integrate with their own calendar?
Yeah, for sure. So what we'll do there is we'll actually book into 2 different calendars. So we'll book them into the chiro's calendar, the dentist calendar, whatever it is, the gym's calendar, and then we'll also book them into the GoHighlevel calendar. So it's a little bit annoying because you've got to book into 2, but how we set that up is inside the GoHighlevel calendar, we set it to 24 hours a day, any time is available. And then, so then the setter will go into the client's calendar first in a separate system, book them in 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then they'll go to the GoHighlevel calendar and book 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then that's how it works. Yeah.
So you just need the client to have a public URL where somebody could schedule.
Yeah. That's the best way of doing it.
And then is it that that client software is tied to a Google Calendar, that the same high-level is tied to that same Google Calendar, and that's why the spot goes away? Or how do you make sure that the spots don't update on the high-level calendar, or do you?
The only reason why we book into the client's calendar, that's what usually takes care of the automations and goes into their Google Calendar and whatever else. The reason why we book into the high-level calendar is, first of all, to tell the high-level system this lead's already booked, so don't put them back in the power dialer. The second thing is that if we book 10 a.m. for tomorrow, there's only 1 space available, but then again, even so, we don't, the only reason why I book into the high-level calendar is so we don't re-add them to the power dialer and the system knows that they're a book lead, because the client's calendar will be the one that will block out the 10 a.m. for tomorrow. So when
it's just completely open.
Exactly.
The high-level calendar. Got it. Cool. So I feel like I understand clearly. Let me know if there's anything about what I just am about to say that doesn't completely reflect the way you guys. So
you've been asking great questions, by the way. So I think you're gonna get it right. But let's see.
So I sign up with Teamfollowup. I'm an agency. I have 20 clients in the dental vertical, let's say, and 10 of them want follow-up services. So I pay your onboarding fee, and then I believe it's $500 a month is the fee from you guys to follow up per month, right?
To actually run the service. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I turn around, I sell it to my clients, okay, for an extra $1,000, which is, by the way, a fraction of what you would pay to hire somebody, and you don't have to deal with their emotions, payroll taxes, or toxic traits inside of the workplace. So
Yeah.
no brainer, you could sell it for 1,000 or 1,500. And okay, we're gonna follow up with all your leads that come through, whatever ones come into high level. You guys come in, you start calling the leads as they're generated. You go through a script that takes probably, you guys are trying to keep it under 5 minutes-ish, a couple
About 5
qualifiers.
minutes, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. Move to the calendar. You book in a public URL of the dentist calendar that integrates with their system.
Yep.
And then once that lead is booked, is that over, or do you guys help with qualifications, show ups? What do you do there?
We advise our clients obviously to have some good SMS nurture, good reminders. That's really important. I've actually got a whole anti-no-show blueprint that I can share with you guys, and it gives you a lot of good tips on how. I can dive into that in a second. Like really the biggest issues that agencies are having with the no-show stuff. But yeah, so we help with that. Well, we advise on that, and then the clients are the ones that actually build it out and they go high level to make sure it's all being done properly. We also do things. The other biggest thing we'll do is appointment confirmations. So we usually recommend that the client themselves do the confirmations, because if we booked someone in for an appointment, usually what I'd recommend is the actual client's receptionist or whoever the actual client is, they just take a few minutes the day before just to ring the lead up and be like, hey, I saw you got an appointment tomorrow. Is that still good? Do you have any questions? And kind of build that just like initial rapport with them before the appointment, because that's just going to massively improve the show rate. Because when you think of it from like a lead's journey point of view, the lead sees a random thing on Facebook that catches their attention. They put their information in. They then get phoned from an international caller, right? Philippines, Dominican Republic, wherever it is. And they can tell they've got a slight accent. And then they're getting these reminders about coming to an appointment, but they haven't really spoke to anyone actually from the so it's kind of gets to that, maybe it's a bit of a weird feeling. So just to counteract that, get your clients. But if your clients really don't want to do it, we'll still phone up the leads 24 hours before and just say to them, hey, like, you still good for tomorrow? Any problems? And do our best to improve the show rate there.
Love it. I really want to hear your no-show killer checklist, because I have my own, so I want to see how they stack up.
Yeah. Sure. Actually,
we're such nerds, but it is the bane of every agency owner's existence. So it is worth studying very deeply. But I did want to ask you, how do you source callers? You mentioned they might be from the Philippines, they might be from Dominican Republic. How do you source them, and what level of English, accent, etc., can people expect when they sign on with you guys?
Yeah, good question. We source them, honestly, at this point, it's mainly referrals. We building, it sounds really cliche, but like building a good culture in the company, especially in this industry, is such a powerful thing, because then what ends up happening is that people just refer their friends, they refer their family, they see they've got part-time work, they're making a decent amount of money, they're over the moon with it. So a lot of our recruitment just come from referrals. Also, when you focus on referrals, you get people that are similar to it's like a look-alike audience on Facebook, right? You get people that are similar to them because they're in the same friendship circles, same family circles, whatever it is. So it's mainly referrals. We do a lot of like Indeed, LinkedIn. We have a very strict, like, when someone applies to work with us, they have to go through. It's a huge amount of qualifiers to begin with, even before during the application. So, for example, we get them to take a picture of their workstation, right? And we want to make sure they've got at least 2 monitors. If they haven't got 2 monitors, we're not working with them. It's just, it doesn't work, right? We also want to make sure that they can sound off scripts properly. So we give them a bunch of practice scripts and tell them to record themselves, upload their recording to the application form. Even things like speed tests, right? They've got to do a picture of their speed test and send that off as well. As then when we get them recordings through, they go through 2 different people. So the actual trainer will listen to the call recording, and if she's happy with it, she'll then send it to the client success manager. The client success manager is then also happy with the recording and their accent, the way they sound. Then that'll get that's passed through. So in terms of like how much of an accent, how good their English is perfect. How much of an accent do they have? It's really kind of hard to say, because it's everyone's got different opinions on this. They sat like they're good, like they're like, what I tell my clients is that I'm not a racist, but I'm an accentist, right? And what I mean by that is, like, I don't care where you're from. I don't care like what race you are. I don't like, it's just the way you sound, right? So, for example, if you've got someone in the UK, but they've got, a really, really strong Indian accent or something, you can barely understand. Like, I don't care if you're British. You like, I can't understand you, right? So that's what it comes down to. So we listen to all the recordings. We're very, very strict on that. and just make sure we just get the best kind of people. Yeah.
That's great. Tell us, how do we stop no-shows?
Yeah, cool. I've just opened up my anti-no-show blueprint list. The first thing is that, talking about like the leads journey again, most agencies just don't think about it from a leads point of view. And so when you look at some of the nurture from some of these agencies, it's like they book an appointment and they get sent like a block of text, which is like, your appointment is confirmed for tomorrow at blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just always, it's just like horrible message. And then they get sent one 24 hours before and they get sent 1 hour before. And that is it, right? Things that I find work really well are sending images in your nurture, right? So if you've got a picture of the dentist in their actual dental office, like they can be like at their computer or like just with a chair in the background, all you've got to do is say to your dental client, hey, send me a picture of you in your chair, like whatever else, right? And then what you do is during that nurture, you just send that picture like, hey Susie, saw we've got a meeting tomorrow. Super excited to see you. I was just in between appointments. So I thought I'd send you a quick message. Hope everything's okay, right? And then they send a picture of themselves. That immediately, that they see someone, they're like, oh wow, this is really cool, right? The other thing is sending things like a picture of the building from the outside and being like, hey, this is what the building looks like. Here's where you can park. Right, giving like parking information can be really helpful. Google Maps links. So they can literally, like, when the text comes through, they literally click on the Google Map and it opens up their Google Map. We find that something called ethical bribes work really well. So if you've got to be careful which industry you're in, but like offering some kind of free gift or making it feel like you've done something for the lead before they turn up, right? So for example, if you were a med spa, right, and you can get your client to give away different color pillows if someone turns up, you can have a picture of the med spa, the clinician, like a blue pillow and a green pillow or a white pillow, and then you can send them a message like, take a picture of them like that. Send them a message. Hey Susie, just getting prepared for our appointment tomorrow. We give away a free pillow to everyone who don't say who turns up, because it sounds like people don't turn up, but everyone who comes in for a free blah blah. Do you prefer blue or a white pillow? And if the person replies like white or blue, there's a very high chance of them turning up because they now feel like you've done something for them. It's like law of reciprocity, right?
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
It's good. Just the actual nurture you're sending as well. You want to try and build a connection. So rather than having again them auto messages, which is like, hey, your appointment's tomorrow at whatever time, you want to be saying things like, for example, if you're a gym, you could be asking them something like, hey, so we got an appointment tomorrow. Is it about losing weight, or like what's the main reason why you're coming in? And again, if you get that conversation going, just get like a little bit of like anything from the lead, just that little bit of buying, it just adds to the chance of them showing up, right? Yeah. So the biggest thing is that just the nurture of most agency owners is just crap. It's just trash. And then obviously you've got the most obvious ones, which are things like don't book appointments too far in advance, right? Like if you book like beyond the 5 days, 3 days, like the people aren't going to show up. The biggest indicator we find, so we work with a really big agency, I can't say their name, but the biggest indicator we find with that agency is calendar availability of their clients. So, and if you think about it, it makes sense. If you're, and this drives me freaking insane with clients, you get some clients that think they're like Sir Alan Sugar. I don't know if you guys know who he is in the UK, but yeah, he's a business guy, right? They think they're like the top dog of business, and they're like, I only do appointments between 10 and 12 every day because I want to, like, they're like some med spa or whatever it is, right? And then they wonder why when we force people to turn up to appointments that really aren't good for them, and they don't show up, right? So having as much availability as possible, having evenings, having weekends, having just like as much availability as possible. And again, like when you actually think about it, if I phone you up and when you first become a lead, you're so motivated. You've seen the ad, you put your information in, you're going to lose weight. This is it. I'm done now. I'm going to lose weight. Perfect. And then you phone me up and I say, look, we only got 10 a.m. tomorrow. And you're like, well, I've got work at 10 a.m. Oh, but I could phone my boss and ask him if I could come in late. Yeah, okay, I can book 10 a.m. Let's do 10 a.m. Great, sounds good. You're booking 10 a.m. But then what happens? 24 hours later, that motivation is massively reduced. And all of a sudden they forget that they're supposed to phone their boss, and then something else comes up. Where if you actually book them in at 6 p.m., where they were free anyway, that barrier to entry with that new motivation level, which is at a low, they still would have turned up. Does that make sense? So that's another huge find that I found as well. And then having a good no-show process. So what we do for our team is that if someone does no-show, the client will go into the GoHighlevel account, they'll drag it to no-show, and then my team will refollow up with them. A lot of clients, they will, when a lead doesn't show, they just like, if the lead doesn't walk in with money in their like hand, like wanting to pay them, they're like, didn't show. It's like, well, did you try phoning them? Did you do anything? Like, did you like get your WhatsApp up, add their number into your WhatsApp, and then send them a message on WhatsApp? If you can do stuff like that, that's just so powerful because they see your picture. It's like a real person. It's insane. sorry, I'm kind of a bit ranting now, but like the blue bubble on iPhones, that's another really powerful thing, right? If you can have the blue bubble on iPhones, that people feel like it's a real person. They're like, oh wow, this person. So yeah, getting your clients to actually make phone calls if no one turns up, like just they turn 12:05, they haven't turned up, get your clients to ring them a few times. They might be on their way. It could be all sorts of things. So that's my of no shows.
Yes. Okay, I love that, and I want to get your opinion on the question that has plagued me and plagued every small business owner since phones were invented. Why do people submit their information on a Facebook form and literally never answer anything? Phones, calls, texts, emails, ever. Why?
If I had the answer to that, I would be a trillionaire. That is the golden question. I think it's even better when you have someone and they put their information in and it all lines up, like everything lines up, and they reply to you like, never submit information, don't know who this is. It's like, how do I know your email? How do I know your phone? Like, do you think I'm just magic? I actually had one guy before. It was crazy. I had one guy that submitted. He booked a call with me. He then sent me an email. I was like, hey man, my Facebook account got hacked. This isn't me. Like, I didn't book the appointment. Blah blah. I was like, okay, cool, cancelled it. Next day, got another appointment through from the same guy. And I was like, I messaged him saying, hey man, you booked some appointment. He was like, hey man, I told you. He was going crazy. I was like, I told you this wasn't me. It's a hacker. I'm like, so he still has access to your. Like, it was so. I had to put it down. Like, he must have schizophrenia. He must have like been some crazy guy. I just didn't get it. Like, some people are just weird, man. I don't know. I wish I knew the answer.
About it. And another question. So I had a student the other day. He reached out to his client. Was like, hey, how's it going? They're like tons of leads, but like my main office person is saying like for the life of her, she can't get anyone on the phone and she can't book appointment. You and I know what's going on, but obviously it could kind of be a situation that we're not 100% sure on. We need to look at particular metrics and see what's going on. But can you give me your top 3 things that you think is probably going on in that situation that agency owners can use to address right now, like a quick win that people could get off this podcast and go apply immediately?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing I think in that situation is going to be you've got to really determine, is the client actually doing what they say they're doing? And it can be so hard because if a lot of clients don't want to use the GoHighlevel system, they want to use their own phones and things like that. So you have no tracking. So I would just make, like, if you're generating leads and the receptionist is genuinely phoning leads within 5 minutes, they're like, all the stuff we said earlier, double dialing them, phoning them twice a day, every day for 7 days, doing all that kind of stuff. There's no way they're not going to get appointments booked. There's absolutely no way. So when clients used to say that to me, I used to say to them, look, use the GoHighlevel system and we can start tracking it better. That's what I'd always tell them. Look, please have your laptop open just for the next week. Let's just use the GoHighlevel system. I know you say you don't want to use it, but look, let's try and figure this out. And then once they start using the GoHighlevel system, then it's a case of getting them on a call and giving that, not being like, I told you you're not phoning. It's obviously not like that, but having that curiosity of like a 5-year-old. It's like, and not, again, you don't want to sound sarcastic, but I thought you said that you were phoning leads within 5 minutes. Like, but this lead took this long. This took this long. You only phoned this lead twice. You only phoned this lead 3 times. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing right there. Just making sure they're actually doing what they're doing. If they genuinely are doing what they're, and then, by the way, the other thing you can do as well is the verified caller ID. I'm sure your audience probably know this, but connecting the actual client's verified caller ID into the GoHighlevel account, it will literally be like the agent. It literally like the receptionist is calling, even though they're calling from GoHighlevel. So if they say, "Oh, I want my caller ID's got the branding," perfect. Plug it into GoHighlevel and then let them phone through that.
Yeah. And so if they get in there and genuinely they're doing what they're supposed to, as far as cadence and everything, and it's still just not as up to par, what do you think is the next thing?
Next thing is breaking down the funnel. So it's and by the way, I don't mean the lead funnel. I mean as in breaking down how many calls are being made? So how many outbound dials? How many pickups are being made? So in the GoHighlevel system, you can filter outgoing calls and you can filter them by minimum number of seconds the call lasted for. So the thing about voicemails is that GoHighlevel will think a voicemail is often an answer call. So you can't just consider answer calls. You can't do that. You have to do an answer call filter, and you also do a 40-second filter. I find 40 seconds is a good amount. So then what happens is you can then see, okay, we had 100 leads, and then we had 62 conversations that lasted longer than 40 seconds. okay, that's a good. And then if you suddenly see that you've only got 3 conversations that last 2 minutes, then it's like, well, okay, well, we know that everyone's picking up the phone, but then no one's actually having that conversation and booking an appointment. So where's the disconnect between the pickups and the conversation? And then you could just like listen to the calls. It might be could be a qualification issue. Maybe in your script, maybe the receptionist, the first thing she's saying is, hey, I'm the receptionist. Yeah. So all of our treatments start at 5K. You can pay 5K. That could be what's going on, right? And then it's like, so again, having them call recordings and having it inside the GoHighlevel system, you have to have it like that. Otherwise, you just have no idea what's going on. So just quickly summarize, make sure the client's actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then if they are, make sure that you can track all the numbers, pickups, conversations, that kind of thing. And then you can identify where the bottlenecks are, and then you should be able to fix it.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Last question here, and then I've got to go. I talked to Jeff Miller, who's another agency coach, or maybe I heard this through the grapevine. No, I was talking to him directly, and he said, look, a lot of these agencies just have these insane Twilio bills. They're like pounding people. They're all this, unnecessary follow-up, because the people who really want it just respond. And people who have money have jobs. And I get where you're coming from, but I also get where he's coming from. Like, there's a lot of truth to like the best leads don't require an insane amount of chasing. However, I want to get your take on it.
Yeah, then don't even run ads, because then like why are you running ads? Because the best leads will go to Google and search for your local dentist anyway, and then get the dentistry, right? So I fully agree with what he's like. I do agree, like the best leads would, okay, they turn up, but there are so many leads. Like there are so many times where I feel something and I'm genuinely interested in the product, but then I get distracted. Something happens, this happens, and I still want the product. It's okay. This is another analogy for it. Why do we work so hard on sales calls? If we get someone on the phone, why are we trying to like? I could sit here and say, well, the best clients are the ones that I only spend 5 minutes with and they buy there and then. Okay, well, if that's the case, then why do we spend so much time on sales scripts and trying to convince people? It's the same thing. So it's about optimizing what you currently got. So, and I've got that. I feel like someone from Jeff Miller shouldn't be saying that. I feel like there's so much data out there. That's a bit of a silly thing to say, but I don't know. I don't know Jeff Miller. I don't want to put him down.
No, I think some people have business goals that lend to that. They're like, I don't want to get on the sales. Like for me personally, I don't want to get on a sales call unless somebody's watched a 15-minute video about my program. They've answered a bunch of questions and they understand what the price is. Like I just am not interested in like arm wrestling people on sales calls, because that's not the business I run. Some people don't want to say anything. They just want to book as many calls as possible. And that's fine as well. And it's all about optimizing for what you want at the end of the day.
It depends on what your qualification is. If you are a dentist and you truly believe that the leads that don't need to be followed up with are your best kind of clients, then that's a part of your qualification strategy. That's perfect. Like, then don't phone them, obviously. Same way with you, like if you're trying to find the best kind of agency owners who, or even not agency owners, best kind of people that want to become agency owners and the best kind of clients for your group, right? So if that means people aren't even willing to watch a video before jumping on a call with you, then they're probably not a good fit. But then the point I'm making is that like if that's a part of a qualification strategy, then that's great. But don't be late. Like don't use that as an excuse to be lazy. Like if we're talking real terms, like a local dentist, like they don't have a qualification strategy. Like as long as they've got the money and they want implants, like why do we? You get what I'm saying? Like a lead is a lead when it comes to dentistry. You're not working with them on a daily basis, having to do leads having to do marketing for them. They're coming in, you're drilling teeth into them, and they're going. They're not going to be, you get what I'm saying?
Love it. Yeah. I appreciate you discussing the elephant in the room with me, because all of these things are questions running around in agency owners' heads every day. And I think them being able to sit on this conversation will be a really big help. So thanks.
Yeah. I think it's been good. You've asked some really great questions. Like I said, I think it's been it's been great.
Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate you. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been great. Thanks, dude.
Love it. Cool.